This is the 2018 Daytona Dodge Charger 392, which is important. We'll get to that later. But I have over 70,000 miles and I have never once changed my rotors. So it's a little past due, kind of, but that's what we're gonna do today. So I've heard kind of conflicting information about when you should change your rotors. I've heard some crazy things like the dealer wanting to replace your rotors every time you change your brake pads, which is just actually insane. Definitely don't do that. But what you should be doing is at least inspecting them when you do change your brake pads out. You're looking for things like deep grooves, big lips, that kind of stuff. Anything that's like obvious signs of wear, then you should change the rotors or consider changing the rotors. But if they are not like squealing loudly or you don't have big grooves or big lips around the edges, then you should be okay. Mine do squeal very loudly. And this is actually intentional. It's a manufacturer thing. The brake pads themselves have a little metal tab on the side that will actually touch the rotor and make a big squealing sound if the pad is too small or the lip of the rotor is too big. And the type of squealing is very distinct. It's not like a track pad, you know, carbon fiber kind of squeal. It's a very like different kind of squeal. Anyway, that's enough talking about it. Let's just put this up in the air and get one of the wheels off. If you've been following the channel, you know none of my previous videos include a lift. Now I have one. This is definitely not a thing you need a lift for, but I'm gonna use mine because it makes shooting easier and it makes things easier in general. But you can definitely do this with regular jack stands or a jack. So you don't need any fancy tools, but lifts are cool. Let's continue. We got the car up in the air. We got all of our tools together. Things you'll need: regular wrench with a 1/2-inch socket. A dead blow hammer will come in handy. A punch, some blue Loctite, a much bigger torque wrench with a 13/16 socket. Impact gun would help if you don't want to do that by hand. A tool to expand the brake caliper parts because we need to open that up enough to put our new pads and rotors in. We don't need this. And then a regular hammer, possibly a giant hammer, and then some PB Blaster. Like I said earlier, I think, we also have a new set of brake pads. We're gonna install those too. So we'll go through the brake pad installation process as well, but faster because we're gonna put the same brake pads in we actually originally put in, which was our first video, which you can watch up in the little YouTube thing, wherever that's gonna end up. Anyway, let's get this wheel off. That's the very first step. I'm just gonna use the impact gun because it saves a lot of time. So the next thing we're gonna need to take off, if you have it, is this, ooh, it's kind of melted itself on there, has it? There we go. So this plastic ring is the hub-centric ring that keeps my wheel aligned because the hub sizes are different. We also have a video about this. If you wanna check up in the little top thing again for that explanation, we'll keep this, even though it's broken, it's still gonna work fine. All right, so next thing is this caliper. This very faded, sad looking caliper. So first thing we need to do is get this one off. That's gonna be a 1/2-inch socket at the back. So something we can do as well is we can just turn this by hand, this whole assembly here. That way we have a little bit of easier access and it's easier to show you. Finish this off by hand. Next thing, we want to get rid of these pins. There's one up top, up here, and there's one at the bottom down here. If you look at the very front of our calipers, we have these two tips. Those we're just gonna hit out with a punch and a hammer. So let me grab my hammer and punch real fast. So I'm using a dead blow hammer too, just in case I miss and hit my caliper. I'm not gonna take off more powder coat than is already gone. Cool. There we go. Cool. Oh yeah, watch out for that. Safety squint. Okay, now we get the top one out. Oh, actually, we can just take this off as well. There we go. These parts should come with your new pads, these pins and that big clip. So feel free to throw these away. Cool. All right. Now this thing, awesome, can come right out as well. Now we have our brake pads. As you can see, they're really snug. They're very tight in there. I'm not getting those out. We're gonna grab this brake ratcheting prying thing of some kind. It's got bigger pads that go over the sides of these, but just for opening the brake pads, I'm not gonna use it, so that's fine. We just gotta put it in between. Oh, we gotta tighten it up first. We just wanna set it in between our brake pads. If these break the brake pads, I don't really care since we're just throwing these out anyway. So whatever. Flip that the other way. Now we can expand. You can hear it. Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and just push these as far as I can because we're gonna need 2 later anyway. And it's a lot easier when this caliper, oop, that was the snap ring that just fell off. I guess we do need the snap ring pliers after all. Now we've done that a little bit, we can see that these are nice and loose. We'll just take that out. This is our brake pad. We'll just discard this. And then we have to get this one out as well, but it's really tight in there. That is good in there. The lip of the rotor is actually doing a very good job holding our brake pad in because they're so worn. I'm gonna be adding a new tool to the list as well, big flathead. Because we're replacing both the rotors and the brake pads, I really don't care about damaging this, so I'm just gonna pry away. Okay, so next thing, caliper. Caliper's on our way. I'm gonna take this whole thing off. So the way we do that is, there's 2 bolts on the back of the caliper. So we have this bolt down here on the knuckle to the caliper, and we have this bolt up top. Both of those need to come out. They are also Loctited in place, so they're gonna feel real mushy and weird, but that's okay. I'm actually just gonna use an impact gun to get them off because it's a lot faster. There's one. This caliper is real loose now, which is perfect, but we don't want to hang it by the brake line. So we need to get some zip ties and zip tie it up top so it's out of our way. Boom. Cool. So now there's for sure no stress on the brake line, and we can kind of just put that over there somewhere. Perfect. So it's not in our way. Awesome. So now I'm at the new step to me of getting the rotor off. Basically, what you do is you hit it off, and that's it. So we're gonna try to use the dead blow hammer and see if we can get it off with that. And immediately it looks like I'm not making any progress, so that's good. And again, you can use a real hammer here. If you break chips and chunks off of this, totally okay, because we're not using them again. So we're gonna pause for a second. We're gonna spray PB Blaster all over this and hope that loosens some stuff up. Just give it a little bit of spray, nothing crazy. Sorry, caliper. It's okay, it needs a new paint job anyway. Okay, I'm moving the car an uncomfortable amount, so I don't think this is the tool for us. I'm gonna grab what I grabbed the other wheel. It's gonna seem real stupid, but it worked. We got this 10-pound hammer, which worked the first time on the other side, so let's see. Wow, this thing's stuck. Oh. Whew. Damn. This one's on there harder than the other one was. Some of these rotors have like set screws that you can kind of use to thread something in and then push off of it like a steering wheel puller would. But we don't have that, so we're just gonna keep hitting it. Like I said, this is old. It's got over 70,000 miles. It's got a lot of rust. Maybe this is a good reason to change them more often than that. Jesus. I'm also nervous because it's on a lift. If anyone knows a better way to do this, definitely let us know in the comments so that the next person doesn't have to do this. It feels wrong. Stuck on there pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and hit it with our friend map gas torch for a little bit. Looks like PB Blaster is not flammable, that's lucky. Okay, there's smoke coming off of something. It's probably hot enough. It's not red, but since the rotor is kind of sitting on the hub, it shouldn't really matter if we're hitting it from the back or from the front. So I'm gonna take a little bit of hitting it from the front now and see if that changes anything. Oh, look at that. Fire. Fire good. Cool. Now that's smoking a lot, so I'm gonna let that cool down a little bit before I grab it. And then we'll start putting the next rotor back on. Back inside the caliper, here's the pistons for the caliper. We can see they're still sticking out, so we're gonna need to take that opener tool and open those all the way. If they're out like this, our new rotors and brake pads are not going to fit. So this is the caliper opener tool I'm going to use. This is the first time I'm using it today. So basically, how it works is it ratchets, and you can change the direction by flipping this switch, and then it goes the other way. And one of these directions causes it to expand and one of them causes it to contract. These pad size are probably suitable for most cars, but the Chargers are gigantic, so we actually need to use these bigger pads. They don't replace the small pads. They just kind of magnet over the top of it, and those little nubs here sit in the holes on the other side. So there might be better tools than this, because this one is kind of precarious, but it gets the job done, so it's gonna work for our needs. So we'll do this all the way until it stops getting easy. Okay, I can start hearing the metal, so I think I'm close enough. I'm gonna back these back out. And we're done with this annoying tool. Okay, let's get this giant rotor out of the bag. When you buy these, you'll notice they're huge. They are monstrous, 15.3 inch, I believe. You don't notice them on the car because the car is so big, but when you're holding it in your hands, freaking heavy and large. But all we gotta do is just set it over the lugs, studs, there. And that's it. That's all we need to do for now. This is the dullest knife ever. There we go, oops. Scratching my calipers. That's okay. They are old. All right, they're not gonna stay anymore. Okay, so we're gonna take one of those bolts and we're gonna put this one in the top without the Loctite for now, just so I can put the other one in. So now we're gonna take our blue Loctite, a little dab where that stuff was, just like this. And that's it. And this is our bottom nut, so we're gonna go thread that in now. Now we can take back out this top one that wasn't really in to begin with, and we're gonna put a little bit of blue Loctite on him too. Make sure it's not cross-threaded. Cool, and it feels good. Now these do have a torque spec. It's 150 Newton meters. Don't know what that is in pound feet, but I'll put it on the screen because that's the correct way to measure these. But because of the Loctite that's previously on there, they do take a lot of work to put back in. So I'm gonna use the impact gun, but I'm only gonna get them right to the knuckle, and then I'll use the actual torque wrench set to the spec to finish them off. Dope. Oh, nice and easy when you have a long wrench. Oh, there we go. Nice. Caliper's back on. Now we just gotta finish putting in our new brake pads. So these are the Z26 carbon fiber ceramic low dust. Oh, they say low dust now. They are low dust. These are what I've used in the past. We're gonna go ahead and install these. This box is not new, so my lube has already been accessed. We have our new brake pads, just the two for this side, and we have our set of clip and pins. This is half the stuff we did because we already did the other side. Let's go ahead and start with the brake pads. These brake pads pretty much go in just as they come out. You just take one, slide it in. Hopefully, if you expanded the caliper enough, then this should be easy. That one was, thank God. Maybe we get lucky twice. Ooh, yep, okay, perfect, awesome. That was so much easier than it could have been. Now, we're gonna take our lube. I don't totally understand these instructions, but what I assume is we need to lube these holes on the brake pads because that's where the brake pad is gonna be sliding and we don't want it to bind on the pins. At least that's my assumption. So we're just gonna put lube in all of these holes. So that hole's good. This hole is good. And then we gotta get every little last drop. They didn't give us that much lube. This hole, and then the little bit of the rest in the last hole. Cool, that's all of the moving, sliding metal parts. So we're gonna put in this component, don't know what this is called, and we're gonna put that nut back in. So we're just gonna take our 1/2 inch and just make that nice and snug, but not too snug. And now we're gonna take one of our pins and slide that into the bottom. Once we get this pin started, we can take our dead blow hammer and just start tapping that through. That's a cool sound. That'll just stop moving once it's all the way in, which is great. So the bracket, we can just hook onto this bottom pin like that. And we want to take it up and bend it over the rod and take this top pin and get that to go through the top like so. Nice and easy. Let's go ahead and Hammer that in. So let's rotate our wheel for hopefully the last time. And there we go. Look at that nice shiny rotor. That looks good for now. And you'll notice this one actually has holes. This is a slotted and drilled rotor. Unlike the stock slotted rotors, they're Power Stop brand. I'll have a link in the description, of course, to all of these products if you want to buy it through our affiliate links. So the wheel is coming up next, which means we need to reinstall our hub-centric ring. It does look like it's very broken, but trust me, it's doing what it needs to do. That helps align the lug nuts correctly when the wheels go on, because there's some differences between 5 and 14.3 versus 5.115, but this isn't the video for that. Lift with your back and then just line it up. Oh, I can't see anything. There we go. Oh, it wasn't as bad as it was last time. Was that really it? I feel like I'm missing a step. I think that was it. Besides the 30 minutes of hammering that rotor off, all we gotta do is put our lug nuts back on, put this thing back on the ground, and torque those to 111 in our case. So, first thing we wanna do when we put the car back down is drive it around slowly, listen for noises, make sure they work, which is important. And then after that, these pads do have a break-in procedure. It's not ridiculously crazy, but it does include 5 aggressive decelerations from 40 to 10. So you just wanna get all the way to 45 miles an hour and then hit the brakes hard until you get 10 miles an hour. Do that 5 times. It'll make you real motion sick. It's a lot of fun. And then you do it one more time, but you do 5 more from 35 to 5, not as hard. Then you just do 5 minutes of driving around, no brakes, let them cool off. And that's it. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to subscribe for more videos in the future, like the one about these rotors potentially, hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.